Okay, so next up, quality assurance panel discussion. I have here on the stage Dean Bent from QAme, then Jukka Hilvonen from Nitro Games, and then Niko Nousiainen, who is actually one of my students at QAme, University of Applied Sciences. Former student, yeah. You actually graduated, which I think deserves applause.
Yeah. Fresh from the oven and straight into the frying pan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good for you. But yeah, guys, can you elaborate a bit on who you are, what you do, where you're from? What's your kind of relationship with the games industry or games?
I guess I'll start.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Dean Bent. Been working with games now since 1992. And I started doing QA around 97, and since then I've worked for various companies around the UK, in Germany, and with quite a few companies in Finland as well. So yeah, QA is one of the areas that I seem to specialize in. So user experience testing, functionality testing, anything QA related. So.
Okay.
Right. All right, my name is Jukka Hilvonen. I'm Chief Development Officer at Nitro Games. So we are outsourcing QA to the external parties at our company, and I'm in charge of that, among other things.
Okay, good. And then.
So hi, I'm Niko Nousiainen, currently working as a lead tester for Dean, and a self-proclaimed incoming QA specialist. I guess my history with games starts when Dean started working on them. I was like 3 years old then, when I first picked an NES controller. And of course, I grew up with games, I breathed games. Then I first started, of course, I always volunteered for all kinds of beta tests when I had the chance. And during my school years at Kymenlaakso University of Applied Sciences, I volunteered for local companies, like for example Nitro. When you had a chance for me to test, I came and tested stuff, and one thing led to another, and then I started working for Dean. As a student, I got internship points at first, and then he hired me, and now I'm working as a lead tester there.
Okay, so you're actually getting paid now.
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Lucky me.
Yeah, good. Well, as we all know, mobile games, and especially free-to-play games, are the most competitive branch of the industry nowadays, which affects user acquisition, marketing, and the products themselves, of course. How important do you see QA and game testing in this equation, in this market situation?
Free-to-play games. It's presented us with quite a challenge, actually. The traditional way of testing the game is typically you have a tester sitting there testing the game. And with the free-to-play mechanics in many games, it's like you get maybe 10 minutes of gameplay time before you run out of lives or whatever, and you have to wait for it to recharge for maybe 50 minutes. And so you know, the clients aren't really getting great value for money if we're testing it that way. We've had to be quite creative and come up with some new ways to test, basically, in order to satisfy the needs of the products. One of the things we've been doing for some clients is some field testing. So people have been playing the game at home just as they would any other game, and you know, that way we don't charge the client for like a lot of dead time, as it were. We just agree a price and we'll go with that.
Okay, so do the testers wait for the kind of
yeah.
lives to regenerate, or?
Yeah, that's it basically. I mean, obviously you can cheat your way through, which you would do in a sort of typical. If I was working at the developer, I would do it that way. But you know, the developer also wants to see what people think of the game. Do they like it enough to wait? Do they hate it?
Yeah, and obviously it would take a lot of time to do all that waiting.
That's it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Jukka.
Yeah, free-to-play mobile games adds quite a bit of aspects to the game testing. At least what comes to my mind is the basic functionality testing, so basically testing out how are the functionalities inside the game working as intended. Then of course are the basic server backend side testing, how easily can players, for example, cheat in the game, can they do any other cheat gaming. Then of course the gameplay testing out the fun factor of the game, and is it actually driving the users down to the funnel or not. Then basically, I don't know, is there any specific term for this kind of type of testing, but basically breaking the game, like finding loopholes in the game design and game rules, like can you cheat yourself on top of the top list or not, using the same mechanics. Then of course the platform testing, does the game functions as intended in all the platforms where they are intended to, and so basically a lot of things to do in the QA side of things.
Yeah. How about you, Niko? Any opinion on free-to-play testing?
Yeah. Well, let's begin. In this small head of mine, all games can be divided to 3 categories. There are bad games. Sorry if you have made any. There are okay games, and then there are great games. Now, there is a ladder from bad games to okay games, and that ladder is called an idea. If you have a good idea, you can make an okay game. Okay games are the games that might make your money back. Maybe not, but can do that. Maybe even make some profit. But great games, now ladder from okay games to great games is the QA process. Because if you don't test all the features, test that the core loop works and stuff like that, it's gonna be only an okay game. And as for the free-to-play question, for free-to-play games, QA is even more important than for pay-to-play games, because with pay-to-play games, when you buy the game, the purchase decision is already made. So it doesn't matter if the game has bugs or so on. Well, of course it matters with further sales, but not as much as with free-to-play games, because with free-to-play game, everyone has access to the game, and he or she starts playing the game, and he or she notices a bug. They are gonna think, I'm not gonna pay anything for this.
Yeah, and they're gonna stop playing at that point. Yeah.
So it's more important than with pay-to-play games.
Yeah. Okay. So Dean, can you give us a kind of professional opinion on the benefits of, you mentioned kind of very early stage testing or play testing. What's important? What kind of things do you look for? And what do you take into account when planning and kind of implementing the actual testing?
All right, okay. Well, whenever I do play testing, user experience testing, however you want to call it, I think that the most important thing is what the user actually thinks. You know, that's the information I'm trying to get back. I think we're all aware that when a game is being developed, it's very, very, very easy to become too close to the game and to not see the problems and to just gloss over them because we're used to seeing them day in, day out. And within minutes, if you do a user test, all these problems become apparent. And certainly in the early stage playtesting or user testing, the main things that jump out are anything to do with the user interface. You know, if it's not right, it'll just be mentioned again and again and again. So I think early stage user testing is vital just to get rid of these problems which the developer may not even know are there, but the users will, it could make or break a game basically. The user can be totally put off if the user interface is wrong. Obviously the other thing that comes across as well with the early stage user testing is the very early levels in the game have to be superbly polished, so that it maintains the user's interest. Players these days have a very short attention span. I mean, you could, I download a game, and if I don't like it, in 5 minutes I delete it. Seriously, that's everyone, right, these days? Yeah. So if those early levels aren't spot on, then then it's going to cost you sales. So that's where I think the earlier that you start the playtesting, the better.
So what kind of testers do you use? What kind of people do you use?
I tend to use, it depends on the game obviously, but if it's a casual game, I'll just use anybody really. I have a fairly large network that I can call on in Helsinki, very international crowd of people, and so it's never really a problem to organize a testing session. I mean, when I say large, I mean thousands of people I can call on.
Yeah.
Whenever I do a playtest, I don't really structure it too much in the sense that I moderate the sessions. I want the users to basically explore and discover for themselves. I always have a hidden agenda. My clients usually have something that they want feedback on. For example, it could be the control system. I might do 2 versions of the game with 2 different control systems, or there might be an option to switch at some point. Yeah. So I'll let the user start to explore and discover for themselves without, I'll help them if I see they're getting stuck or they're struggling. And then at some point during the test, I'll try to ask them about the control system if that was what the client wants to know about or something. So what tends to happen is the client is always amazed by the amount of the breadth of the feedback. They get way more than they expected.
Yeah, and I'm sure you get some very honest feedback.
Absolutely,
from the testers.
Very honest.
Yeah. Okay. So from the developer standpoint, Jukka, what do you see as the kind of main focus on playtesting? So what do you guys at Nitro look at when doing this stage of testing or development?
I think quite the similar things which Dean already mentioned. So basically what the players think about the game at that stage when we do.
First impression.
Yeah, first impressions of the game, because that's like the first things, of course, to test out. And then depending on the stage of the game, also like the balance and optimization of the game, like how's the like currency rules are going, what's the resource allocations of different resources, how are the levels going up in difficulty or not.
Yeah.
And then of course the UI is very important. Nowadays you have to be like really top notch in order to have it and break it to the top 10 the game. So basically these 3 things.
Yeah. And how do you take these results from the testing into account in the development process? How do you integrate that kind of into your
depends. For example, we use a site called usertesting.com for our UI testing, and there's quite a lot of people there. So basically we can have qualitative and quantitative feedback. So basically if some error or some issue happens many times for many people, then of course we can take that's a more important issue than some other where there might be only 1 or 2 issues mentioned in the same thing.
Okay. So you guys obviously do a lot of cooperation with the local universities. Can you elaborate a bit more on that? What exactly is it that you do with the university, and how? Starting with Dean.
Oh, okay. I work quite closely with QAme, your university, your ex-university.
Yeah.
And the students there do a lot of the testing that I require, the functionality testing. It's basically a situation where they gain by 2 ways. One, they get course credits for it, and 2, they're actually working with professional products. They're actually contributing and working in a professional way. So they're getting good experience for this. It's been an interesting ride because there's those guys, I've had to learn how to work with students basically. These aren't like 100% full-time testers. I've learned to tell my clients that they're not going to get much testing done on Tuesdays because they have a lot of classes on Tuesdays. The classes come first and the testing has to be fitted in around it. So it's kind of a weird situation where I can't guarantee full-time testing, like 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. But I can say there's going to be sufficient testing, and usually about 30 hours a week, I guess, 20 to 30, and that's usually sufficient for the clients.
Yeah. So they're happy.
They're happy, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
I also do a bit of work with different universities. I do some workshops with one or two, Joensuu and Aalto, and that's gone down really well. And I've also done some user testing with those universities as well. So,
yeah. Okay. And Jukka, you have some experiences as well.
Yeah. Basically, we have mainly worked with the students through Dean's company, but also some stuff by our own. So basically, what we have done is we have ordered playtesting from the students, and they have gave pretty good feedback. Depends, of course, on the time of the year. Do they have a lot of tests, and that usually relates to the schedule of the things. But then also what we have done is that just invite some students to our office, have them look at the first playable of the game, have their first feedback directly into the site, like what do you think, what's good there, what's not good, what you would change. So it's really good to have the university and the students who are interested in games nearby, so that you don't have to go miles away, but basically just call to the university and ask if there are students who have free time.
Yeah, and of course it's probably quite easy to have the kind of local students test the game.
Yeah.
Okay, Niko, you've been involved with the actual testing. What types of testing have you guys done at the university, and what kind of a team did you have? Because obviously you weren't alone playing all those free-to-play games.
Yeah,
day and night.
No. Well, my team consists of software engineering students, ranging from, I think, youngest is now a first year, and the oldest are last years. So from the beginning of school to the end of school, well, university. Anyways, so the most important thing I think about them is that they are software engineering students, because I hear that way too often game testers or QA testers are thought of as some persons that you can just pick off the street and give them bread or something and they test your game. That's not a good way to do functionality testing, because what I've come to learn that in functionality testing, the more you know about the software, the more you know about the code, the better results you get. You know how to break the games. Once again, sorry for breaking your games. That's what we do. So that's our team. We do functionality testing. Basically, we give feedback if such is wanted, but I think that UX testing and so user experience testing and functionality testing should be two separate things, and user experience testing should be recorded from one person at a time, so you can point out the flaws and such. So I haven't touched that. Okay. So functionality testing mostly.
Okay. So what's it been like working with Dean and QAme?
Working with Dean has been.
He's a slave driver, yeah.
It's perfect. It's been great. It's the other students that are harder to work with.
Okay.
But so far it's gone quite smooth.
Yeah. Okay.
Of course, we have those classes, and I would love to work full time, but there are issues. But so far it's gone well.
So what have been the kind of main learnings from the whole process?
I've learned a lot. I mean, when I first started, I was one of the guys who thinks that you can just pick people from the street and give them bread and make them test your games. Like I mentioned, but now I know that QA is important, and really you should have, every company should have a QA specialist. If you don't have, hire it, and I've learned a lot about the process as a whole.
Yeah. Good. What about from the kind of business side? what has it been like to work together with the university and the students? Has everything kind of gone smoothly, or has there been friction? Or I can imagine there's been kind of a clashes here and there. So give us the details on kind of what to look for when starting cooperation with university students.
I've not actually had much friction, I have to admit.
Oh, really?
No, it's gone pretty smoothly. I mean, what I'd like to do is to take this model and maybe work with different universities and expand it, different parts of the country maybe. But so far, it's a model that actually appears to work. It's it's not. I know that some of these large companies, for example, in Asia, have hundreds and hundreds of testers that you could hire. And if you have a huge project, you probably need to go somewhere like that. But for the kind of mobile projects that most of the companies in Finland work with, having a team of students working on them is probably sufficient, as long as it is the right students, like you say. It can't be just anyone. Yeah. But a handful of student testers with a supervisor who's able to ensure that the work gets done correctly. That's a pretty good model, and if we can get that working across with different universities, I think that would be a good way of ensuring that products get the right QA at the right cost. Yeah. Now that
you've mentioned it, we actually have our game lab engineer somewhere probably in the crowd, Marko Oras. Is he here, or has he already left?
Oh, I see him.
Okay, yes. So he has kind of been the internal slave driver for the QAme University. So we need people like that as well in the university to kind of.
We need a champion inside the university to make it work. Yes.
Yeah, and we need a champion student as well, because Niko is probably the.
And Marko's always hounding me. He wants more products for his for his students, because at the end of the day, there's no better experience than to actually, work with real products that real companies are developing. The sooner we can get that, the sooner they can start to sort of get a taste of what the industry is really like. Yeah. It's not just a classroom experience then. Yeah.
All right. Thinking a bit ahead and considering obviously free to play, what types of things do you guys think that we should focus on when testing free to play games? I mean, I've had some discussions on kind of monetization testing and stuff like that. Do you think that can be achieved somehow?
Yeah. Last year I had some meetings with a company in Spain who make free-to-play games, and we were discussing the QA of their games, and they really weren't bothered with crash bugs. I said, oh, seriously? Because to me, crash bugs were always like the bugs that you couldn't ship with, and they didn't care about that. They cared about monetization bugs. Anything that cost them money was what was important to them. And I was like, so they kind of turned the whole testing thing upside down. They thought, well, the people aren't paying for the games, so they're not bothered if they're usually a bit more tolerant with crashes. I disagreed with them a lot. I mean, I totally understand where the monetization testing is needed. That's effectively what earns them money. But I also think that there should not be crash bugs, So yeah, that we had a difference of opinion there. But most companies, thankfully, tend to agree with me. It's like you want the game to be as clean as possible. You do not want it crashing all the time. But then at the same time, you definitely do not want to see monetization bugs. Which is strange, because with this Spanish company, I pointed out that they did have a monetization bug and they weren't happy. Yeah.
Okay. Jukka, how about you? What's your point of view on this?
I think regarding free-to-play, is like if you can have some number of people, like tens of people playing your game, one crucial aspect to test out is also the analytics side of things, like how are the analytics really working or not. And that's quite neatly you can see through testing. And also I think one important thing, especially if you have a multiplayer game, is like the breaking the multiplayer rules. Those people are quite hard to find, or at least I haven't found many of those. But those people who can see immediately how you can use the system in your favor, those are the things I think I would focus on.
Okay. Well, obviously there are some benefits when working with university. But can you kind of give us your opinion on should the industry work more with the academia, and what are the kind of pitfalls and benefits?
I've worked now with, like I say, with about 3 of the main universities in Finland. I've done workshops where I've started by giving effectively a lecture, and then in the afternoon we've switched to some actual live playtesting. And during those sessions I've used products which my clients have allowed me to use. And what we find is that it's kind of a situation which is win-win for everyone, because the students under NDA will get to see a new game which they can then comment on, and their comments will probably get recognized and used in the game. The client loves it because they get some free feedback from the students, and they know that they're expert comments because the students are usually working in game or hoping to work in gaming. Obviously the university is happy that the students get this great experience, and it makes the workshop more interesting. It's not just a mock exercise. It's live. So I really like that approach, and if I could keep doing that with different universities, and keep the whole well, I guess everyone will be happy then if we can manage that. Yeah.
How about you, Jukka?
Yeah, I think main points then Dean had, but I think also one point is that you actually get to know those people, and there's small percentage inside all students who are really exceptional, and you can like have the contact from early on, and then build a relationship and possibly hire the students.
Get like an inside view of those. Yeah. Good. Okay. Well, I think our time is up. I'd like to thank you guys for joining me for this panel discussion. It's been a pleasure talking to you all. So thank you very much, and let's give a big hand.
Yeah.
Oh, anyone with any questions before we let these guys leave? One over there. Can I get the mic? Here you go.
So hello, my name is Tuuli. I'm interested in, when you're not released your game yet, how do you measure if testers are having fun?
I guess I'll start. For several clients this year, so before the game is launched or before it's even gone to soft launch, we've done some field tests. During those field tests, we typically get maybe 30 players to take the game home on a device for 2 weeks in order to evaluate the game and play it as though it's just any other free-to-play game that they would download on the App Store. And during this, there's 2 ways we evaluate them. Firstly, there's usually analytic software built in, so the game developer is able to see when they're playing, see how long they play for, and get many other bits of information from that. And secondly, we also give 3 questionnaires, one right at the start, one midway through, and one right at the end. And we try to capture some different feedback that way as well. And between the 2, you can basically get a lot of information. You can see if someone really hates the game. You can see if someone's waking up at 7:30 in the morning on Sunday in order to play it, which usually means they like it. There's a lot you can do to try and gauge that during a fairly simple test. It doesn't take too much to organize that kind of test.
Yeah, the same rules apply. So basically we take a look at what kind of feedback we get from the testers, and depending, of course, how many they are, we might use quantitative analysis, like how many percent of the players actually like our game and in which scale. If there's like from 1 to 5 the scale, So if we have 4 or 5, that would mean that we have a good game. And if that's below, then we have an okay or poor game. And of course, during the soft launch of free-to-play games, that then we actually measure in mass, like how the mass of gamers actually feels the game.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I think that's it. All right, thank you.